Have you ever wondered if collegiate prepares you for the world outside the classroom? This is something I've always thought about over my last 4 years at collegiate. It wasn't until late junior year, sitting at my house doing online school during the quarantine period, that I realized the answer to this question. And the answer is yes. Collegiate prepares you in a variety of ways. There's a lot more to life than learning math, science, and history. You can be successful without those tools. The real importance is the relationships you make with your classmates, moments you share on the court with your teammates or on the field, and connections you make with the teachers and alumni. Those will be some of your biggest benefits of your collegiate experience. Freshman year, I met a future millionaire in the collegiate hallways, Tuan Nguyen. Tuan and I were both on the basketball team during my freshman year, where we had to spend a lot of time together. Occasionally after school and before basketball practice would begin, Tuan, Eli Allen, Trevor Holbrook, and myself would all end up at Eli's house in his basement playing NBA 2K to waste time. After building a good relationship with Tuan, he actually became my math tutor because I needed help. I truly believed he had a calculator built inside of his brain. Tuan was one of the smartest people I've ever met. I remember a conversation I had with Tuan years ago, and it involved me, Tuan, Eli, and Nate Frankie. We were all talking about how Tuan was going to run his own Fortune 500 company someday. Although I can't recall exactly what position Tuan said he would give me, I just remember it was a pretty good one that had some pretty good pay. Another person who I'd like to mention that is a genius and a good friend of mine is Grant Foley. It would not surprise me if he owned his own Fortune 500 business in a few years due to his smarts and work ethic. Even though Grant hasn't offered me a position yet at his company, I'm working on it. These are some of the people you will be exposed to at collegiate, and the connections you can make with classmates that go much further than the classroom, because collegiate is full like the guys I've just mentioned. And there's another reason why collegiate provides you such a great experience, because everyone's a class act and good people. Because in my experience, it's been everyone I've ran into. Some of the best moments from my high school come from playing sports. Moments I will never forget and share with all my teammates is something special and has created lifelong friendships and memories. The basketball team from my freshman year still talks in the group chat today. The memories from beating KCD twice that year, going to EKU and the All-A will keep us friends for life. Overall, the most memorable seasons have been my junior and senior year. Plays we still talk about to this day is when Joey Leachman nailed the game winner on senior night against Fairdale, when Smith Lewandowski got a steal and took it coast to coast to beat Clinton County at the buzzer, and just a week ago when my good friend Trevor Holbrook banked in a three at the last second to beat KCD and end the season on a win with a 68-65 win. These amazing moments are always relived when we get together and hang out. Ever since COVID ran wild, there was a major pause and wait for sports. During the basketball season, fighting through adversity with having to sit out due to COVID, we were pushed to our limits, and it was tough. This is another thing that made the team so close. While there was no locker room this past season, we had to manage. The locker room is where a lot of the bonding happens within a team before and after practice. Without having the locker room, it was difficult to spend time together and really bond and connect. Connecting with your teachers and faculty and the alumni is another huge asset and will take you a long way throughout your schooling. Your teachers may know some important people that can help you get a job somewhere when you're older. They can also help you with recommendations to receive certain awards. And the rest of the faculty does a fantastic job helping each and every student. The college counselors make the college process so much easier than it should be, and also help you to get into a school you may never thought you could get into. If you do the right thing and develop a positive and respectful relationship with your teachers, when you slip up, the punishment may not be so bad. Everyone knows that collegiate prepares you academically, athletically, but most importantly, they know the other ways that collegiate can set you up for success later down the road. If you can use your connections well and make bonds while you're at collegiate, you'll have a bright future.
I met my future brother after a hard day of kindergarten in Memphis, Tennessee, at New Hope Christian Academy. I stayed after school one day to work on a project about Booker T. Washington with my mother. We were sitting at the computer when a young boy approached us. For a moment, he just stared at the glowing computer screen, but eventually he introduced himself. With a big smile on his face, he said his name was Dylan Turner. Little did I know, Dylan would soon become a beloved member of our family and my brother. By first grade, Dylan and I were best friends. We talked about music, football, and would play intense recess games throughout school. I started to notice Dylan showing up late to school and sometimes not coming to school at all. This puzzled me as a first grader, as I didn't understand why he wasn't able to make it to school every day like I was. Our family then learned of Dylan's situation. He had 7 brothers and sisters and was living with a single mom who struggled with drug addiction. As the second oldest, Dylan at times had to look out for and take care of his brothers and sisters. Our family talked and prayed about what we could do to help my friend. We then made a decision that turned us into brothers. We offered Dylan to come live with us so that we could get him to school, help him with homework, and provide meals for him. His mom agreed as she wanted what's best for her son. When Dylan moved in with us, I started to mature and grow into the person I am today. While my family welcomed Dylan into our home, I welcomed Dylan into my life, with friends, sports teams, and my parents' time. The values of sharing, giving, and friendship my parents had taught me when I was young were now being implemented in full force. Once Dylan moved in with us, I began to understand his past. He had negative influences pulling at him, no positive support, and was unable to ever meet his father due to him being in prison. There were nights he wasn't even sure where his next meal was coming from. This gave me a different perspective on life that I hadn't thought of before. Having this experience so early in my life helped me understand not everyone comes from the same background. This experience has also helped me learn to be accepting of everyone and not to judge, as you have no idea what a person has been through in their past. In 5th grade, my dad got a new job and we had to move from Louisville, Kentucky from Memphis, Tennessee. It was incredibly difficult to say goodbye to Dylan, as he was my best friend and my brother. His mom had just gotten out of rehab and Dylan was going to move back in with her, but we still hung out all the time. Even in Louisville, I talked to Dylan daily. We talked about our problems and how we were doing in school. The brotherhood and bond we had formed while we lived under the same roof was unbreakable. We would do anything for each other. The summer before my 8th grade year, Dylan's mom called and asked if he could come live with us again. When I heard the news, I was thrilled. When he moved to Louisville, it was just like old times. We already had the connection and he was a part of our family. He attended St. Margaret Mary with me in 8th grade, and I had the greatest joy introducing him to all of my friends and running track with him that year. For high school, we went separate directions. I went to Collegiate and he went to St. X, as these were both good fits for our individual needs. Every night when we'd get home from practice, we would sit at the table together and do our homework and talk about our days. At the beginning of sophomore year, Dylan decided to move back to Memphis with his family so he could live with his brothers and sisters. Even though I was upset to see him leave, I respected his decision and trusted him as he was my brother. I still keep in touch with Dylan daily as we text about new songs, track, or when we will play Xbox together. We see each other every couple of months as we alternate between meeting in Louisville and meeting in Memphis. Whenever I see him, it feels like as if no time has passed. While our starts in life may be quite different, I am proud and honored to refer to Dylan as my brother. As a young kid, I came to understand gratitude, friendship, and love. I had no idea that one day in kindergarten I'd be meeting my future brother, but I'm so glad it worked out the way it did and glad he decided to come up and introduce himself.
Hi, welcome to Dunkin'. You can order when you're ready. I've been saying this sentence about 500 times a week for the past 6 months. I started working at Dunkin' after my seasonal lifeguarding job at Big Springs ended. And yes, I like to work a lot. Working at Dunkin' has been an experience. Working the register while taking someone's order is really hard. My brain has trained itself to listen to 2 things at once while talking. I know that sounds impossible, but somehow me and all my Dunkin' coworkers are able to do it. About a month ago, during rush hour, it was just me and my friend Garima working, and as some might call, a Karen told me and Garima that she deserved free drinks because they were waiting in line for so long. I told her that it would be unethical for me to just give her free drinks and not everyone else for also having to wait during rush hour, and that it would also be going against my job. I was wondering why she was speaking so loud and clear, like I was an idiot. Then I looked down at her hands and realized that she had been recording me the entire time. I thought to myself, is this really happening? Somehow she had thought that I was being unfair to her and that she deserved the free drink. Well, I already handed it to her, expecting her to pay, and she turned and said to me, "Clock out, sweetie," and drove away as fast as she could and stole the drinks. I was so upset after what had happened. I was scared the video would go viral or someone would just find it posted on Facebook. I felt like there were so many other things that I could have said too, like, I was 17 at the time, and it's illegal to video someone without their consent, especially if that person is underage. I have gotten really close with the family that runs Dunkin'. They made a nickname for me, Doggy, which I literally thought meant doggy, like a dog. But one day, my coworker, Garima, who speaks the family's language, explained to me that it actually means daughter. I started working when I was 13 years old, but only babysitting gigs. I loved the idea of going somewhere by myself and taking care of things on my own. Earning my own rewards after hard work made me feel independent and responsible. My first real job was when I worked this summer at an Asian bistro called Ginza. When I was first interviewed, I was asked how much I wanted to work. Well, it being my first time scheduling a new job, I decided it was best for me to work 8 hours a day, 6 days a week. Keep in mind, I was only 16 at the time. Did I regret this decision? No. But was it worth the money? Yes. That entire summer, going into my junior year, I worked at Ginza and made bank. After getting my checks after every 2 weeks, I would think, wow, hard work really does pay off. I learned how to save my money and how to spend it correctly. Every time I would buy something, I would convert it in my mind into how many hours that would have been me working. And it helped me understand how I should be spending and saving my money. Lessons like these, I believe everyone should have the opportunity to learn. I believe that work experience says a lot about character and maturity. But working isn't just about money. It's about interactions and relationship. The people. Learning how to work well with a team, with coworkers, and with a boss. At Ginza, I became very close with the family who owned and ran it. They were so kind to me. When we would close every night, they would let me have some of their homemade dinner, and I would get to sit with them. They were supportive of my work, and they would encourage me to work harder, to be on time, just with their hospitality and warmness. When you care about your job and what you're doing and the people that you're working for, you can do anything. The work experience I have, I use in my everyday life. I know how to talk to strangers really easily, and just to be polite and kind. I became a problem solver. When something isn't right or someone's not happy, I always want to help. Looking back, I cannot believe that I worked that much. But also, I can believe it because I was having fun and I loved what I was doing. I hope I don't become a workaholic one day, but I do hope that I find a job that I love and I can do forever. I want to inspire everyone to try and get a job this summer. Still enjoy your summer and don't overwork yourself, but I encourage you to just apply somewhere. See what it's like and see what fits you. To conclude my speech, I want to thank some people. I want to thank my mom and dad for supporting me throughout high school and for sending me to Collegiate. I remember the last speech I gave at Collegiate was my This I Believe speech, and it was all about how hard it was moving from California to here. I think I ended up sobbing at the end, so I apologize and I won't do that this time. Without Collegiate, I wouldn't be where I am today. I have been pushed to work hard and to do work efficiently. I have learned so much respect and how to respect others, which has helped me with my jobs. Thank you, Collegiate, for everything you have done for me. I want to thank my teachers for putting up with me and for believing in me and for also being hard workers. I want to thank Miss Prince, Miss Martin, and Miss Staley, 3 very strong women who inspire me, for working closely with me and just believing in me. I can't believe it's almost time for me to graduate. It's been a dream. Thank you.
I have learned a lot about the importance of knowing when to talk. When I was in the lower school, I used to never shut up. It was very grating for my family, and especially for my brother, who was going through high school and had to listen to me incessantly talking about nothing at all. Eventually, I began to realize that most people thought I spoke too much. My mom tried to impress it upon me that I should be quieter, because if you're silent, then people will listen to you when you talk. Of course, I was just starting lower school, and the importance of being taken seriously never really was impressed upon me. However, as I got a little older, I realized how annoying it was not to be taken seriously, and something finally clicked with me. I realized that my talkativeness would hinder my future career choices, which my brother made me aware of, especially when I said I wanted to be a ninja. My brother, a short-tempered high school student then, similar to how I am now, thought of a brilliant way to show me how ridiculous it was for me to have this idea. At the test, he told me that if I wanted to be a ninja, I would have to be quiet for extended periods. So, just as a test, he challenged me to be silent for the rest of the car ride home. I, unfortunately, was not able to pass the test, as in under 5 minutes I started talking again. For me, this might have been one of the first signs that maybe I spoke too much. Fortunately, in case I wasn't sure, the evidence did not stop there. Similar sentiments were backed up by most of my report card comments during my time in law school. Saying things such as, I talked too much, I didn't pay close enough attention during the lessons, etc. Just pointless stuff, not big deals. But as a lower schooler, I disregarded these warnings. However, my parents did take notice. My parents started getting more on my case whenever I started talking too fast or whenever I spoke so much that they became utterly lost with my sporadic subject changes and my fast-paced conversations. Now, tired of being corrected all the time, I entered middle school determined to stop talking as much. However, for 6th grade and most of 7th grade, I continued to fall short of my goal. But 8th grade, I tried to make a more conscious effort at staying silent. Finally, I saw improvement. Now, my report cards no longer said I talked too much. Instead, just saying I didn't pay enough attention, and I didn't work hard enough in class. And I saw that as a step in the right direction. As I went into high school, I was a much more quiet student. Still, whenever I talked with family and friends at home, my conversations can often be described as exhausting, taxing, and relentless. Eventually, I finally stopped talking as much when talking to friends and family. Unfortunately, I still have my moments when talking to people that I completely overwhelm them with a sentence that doesn't make any sense to me, them, or anyone. Throughout my experience through school, I've learned to be quiet around people so that when you're talking with friends, your words are never ignored.